2016 is going to go down as one of those years as important and pivotal in British wrestling history. One of the shows that made it important and pivotal was Global Wars UK. As hosted by Revolution Pro Wrestling and New Japan Pro Wrestling, some of the biggest stars in the world came together and clashed in that ring, and I was ringside to capture it all. We're going to go through some of the matches today, we're going to look through the photos, and we're going to talk about just why it meant so much to me, and why it means a lot now. Strap in, it was a hell of a show. So the first match was Jushin Thunder Liger versus Marty Scurll, and here you can see Marty is wearing a Jushin Thunder Liger mask in honour, but also to sort of mock and to goad Liger out. Because whilst it is the Liger style, it's very much a Marty Scurll villain mask, and it shows just the disrespect, but also the honour that Marty has of having this match, but also the mind games he doesn't mind playing along the way as well. Talking of mind games, here's something, everyone knows the famous chop on the ropes, but this is another variation on that where he sort of scuttles away and Marty's not quite sure what to do. And the same again, in reverse now, Marty's on the upper hand here and Liger's not really sure what to do. Very clever bits of storytelling. I love the idea of, the one-upmanship happening here. And then finally the big one-upmanship here with Marty takes him down and is able to get him down for a 2 count with the Chris Jericho muscle pose. Very disrespectful, but getting inside Liger's head here. Now this is one of my favourite action shots of the night, at all actually. In fact, you can see Liger's hair just flowing out behind him from the mask, and the big chop and the pain on Marty's face. But more importantly for me, is the crowd behind really invested. You see here and here all invested. And as well, I love the ceiling in York Hall, so I wanted to include that in part of the photo. It may look like it needs a bit of cropping in, but I really like the ceiling there. The chicken wing finished the match, and that's a monumental moment for Marty Scurll's career, getting a big win over such a Japanese legend, and then celebrating the win, but then sharing the win at the end. The honour and the respect shared between both of these gentlemen was quite exceptional. I love this photo because I think the lighting is absolutely beautiful in it. I think the colours and the tone and the richness coming out from both of these guys, and the ceiling as well, as I mentioned before, just absolutely fabulous. I'm a big fan of this photo. Next up was Shah Samuels coming out, and he's celebrating to York Hall, but York Hall don't want anything to do. They're just booing him relentlessly, but he's soaking it all in. He's the king of York Hall, and he knows it, and he doesn't care what anyone thinks of him at this point. Honma comes in and smashes him down with a big shoulder barge. Doesn't take any shit from Shah Samuels at all. I love that. I think that was a really, really interesting dynamic between these two guys. Not a match that anyone necessarily knew they wanted to see, but two guys who absolutely went out there and just beat the piss out of each other. And I think the whole crowd really appreciated that. Here's the big Keshi headbutt to finish the match. You can see the muscles rippling all along his arm here, and you can see the veins in his neck. And Shah takes it, and you can see his knees going weak, and the muscles and the flesh is rippling. Fabulous. Love this match. Really good match. Next up was Blue Justice Yuji Nagata taking on Pete Dunne. I love this shot because you can see down the ramp. You can see the entirety of York Hall. It's a bit smoky, it's a bit steamy, there's a lot of atmosphere going on, but you can very clearly see Pete Dunne staring a hole for Yuji Nagata here. Now all of York Hall is on their feet. I think Yuji Nagata wasn't announced. I think it was supposed to be Michael Elgin for this show, which makes it even more special that he was able to come down. and wrestle Pete Dunne. Pete, not intimidated at all, taking his time, really scouting out Nagata, and then goes straight in for the finger bite. No intimidation, no respect, no tradition upheld. But then Nagata has none of it. Absolutely none of it whatsoever. Staring a hole through each other. And after the match, Nagata just stares out, knowing that he's the more powerful one. And the next match was Chris Hero versus Tomohiro Ishii. Now, this match was really quite special because it was on Chris Hero's sort of rounding off tour when he was going back to WWE. So he was having amazing matches with as many different people as possible, and they're all different. All the matches were very hard hitting, but had very different structure, very different story. And I really liked the fact that this was quite a fresh matchup that I hadn't seen before. Maybe it hadn't happened anywhere in the world. I'm not entirely sure of that. But from what I could tell, these two guys were just going at it and were just trying to one-up each other and trying to go out there and have the best match they could have. And having fun with it as well. And Hero obviously had fun with this one. He came out, he was full of energy, full of passion, and the crowd soaked it up immediately. Obviously, he's going to be a big fan favourite. But the crowd were so far behind him. And this match had a very interesting dynamic. The two big guys, but actually, if you look at them together, Hero is much, much taller than Ishii. And I really wanted this shot just to accentuate that fact. So I shot it quite low down and I shot it up from underneath the bottom rope, but you can see the bottom rope here just to give a lot more context as well. So Hero standing very, very tall, looking very wide, and Ishii looking quite small, but the clashing of shoulders shows that they're equally powered, which I thought was really cool, really fun dynamic. This shot as well just shows the power that Hero has, and he's stooping down to Ishii's level, but Ishii is soaking it all in, he's holding onto the ropes, and he's soaking all that energy in, soaking all that power in, and absolutely having none of it. So really, really fun shot. I love the tension in Ishii's face, and just on the moment of impact. You can see the ripple here and here, and through the chest as well. And Hero using all his power, coming all the way through, extending his arm. Real dramatic shot, this one. Again, returning the favour, this time on the outside of the ring, clobbering him on the outside, maybe quite high up. And the fans around him, they're all looking on, all enjoying themselves, all having a good time, but they're all engrossed in the atmosphere. This guy's got his phone out, this guy's got his phone out, and they're filming and they're engaging in the action. No one's looking down at their phones, no one's sort of bored, no one's, not partaking. I think that's really important. That's something that is a testament to both these guys. And again, both these guys, Ishii is down on the floor here, Hero is up, and he's bringing the crowd in, the crowd are coming all the way in. Because you've got this guy in the back, you've got all these guys looking over here, you've got this guy yelling, and you've got the announcers, you've got all the staff here, everyone else, Curtis Chapman. And you've got everyone just looking straight through and being soaked into Hero's aura. Big shot from Hero here, cracks straight on the top of the skull. Ishii absorbing it in, and you can see this. All these people just watching, and she can't quite take the pain because it's a big old shot to the head, and it made a big crash noise. But Ishii, absolutely undeterred, kept coming. Eventually, it was too much for him, and he had to take a rest on the floor. Eyes closed, mouth open, sucking all that energy, all the oxygen in, to try and get the blood flowing around, bring his arm up, making sure he can still feel his fingers. Real storytelling here from these guys, and I was engrossed, absolutely engrossed in it. Final move of the match, big power driver, big Gotch-style power driver. You can see him hooking the arm, but it's sat flat out. Ishii's head driven straight into the floor, and that was the final bell. And here's the big wide shot at the end. Hero celebrating up, Roberts raising his arm, the whole room standing up and celebrating with him. Just a real powerful shot. And here now, Hero's final shot of the match, arms outstretched, bringing the crowd in with him, just really engrossed in the action, really engrossed after what's happening. And it's, I think this is one of my favourite shots of the night, because he's just looking at the ring. He knows he's going to go back there tomorrow. He's got Shibata tomorrow, but at the moment he's just soaking the crowd in. Next match was Bushi from the Los Ingobernables de Japón. I've almost certainly said that wrong. Versus the incomparable Will Ospreay. Now this first shot, I I've made it black and white. I don't often do that, but I just thought the spittle and the water coming out all around him was a really dramatic shot, and I love the fact that it's focused completely on him, and everything else is. It feels like a film shot to me. It feels like a real deep shot. I love this photo. This is actually one of my favourite photos. I haven't worked with Bushi that much, or much of Lij, but this is one of my favourite photos of the limited ones I've got with him. This match was actually really, really good. It was a showcase of two styles, but the dark end of the style and the light end of the style. So Ospreay obviously being the light and Bushi being the dark, and Bushi starting off with the mind games early, tempting Ospreay to play the game and to use more than just the flips because the match was full of flips and full of high athletic technique. But the real interesting thing was the story to being told between these guys, because Bushi is a straight up bad guy. He'll cheat. He'll do everything he can to win. Ospreay just wants to get the victory. So when Bushi starts playing mind games, Ospreay starts playing them as well, and that's when I was really starting to get interested in what was happening. So the idea of this shot and this shot together, I really like the idea that they're playing off against each other. Then the next one was a really quite brutal DDT by Bushi to Ospreay on the apron, and you can see Ospreay's face is absolutely just contorted in pain. His head is smashed against the apron, and all of the front row looking concerned, particularly these people. Everyone just looks absolutely terrified of the consequences of this, which is kind of what you want. Next was the photo of the Sasuke special. I love this photo because it just captures the moment absolutely perfectly. But the reactions as well are just absolutely superb, and the lighting was crisp and bang on. So really, really happy with the shot. I love getting a good Sasuke. This is one of my favourite shots. This is obviously Bushi and Will sort of taking their time to get to their feet. Roberts is motioning that they've just got to their feet, so they stop the count, and you can see Will like in desperate pain behind, trying to use the ropes to get up. But in the foreground, Bushi is doing the same thing as well. So I really like the idea that you can see Will and you can see Bushi doing the same thing, and you can see Roberts taking the count as well. I love this photo. This really tells a story of two warriors just absolutely taking it to each other and doing all they can to continue. This shot was great as well. This shot it's one. I love it because it shows how young Will is. He just joined Chaos. He'd just sort of gone over to New Japan in this year, so he just started sort of making a name for himself out there. So he's still so young in the face, but obviously, I know the move itself, knocking Roberts out and whatever, that's not really what I'm looking to concentrate on here. I do just love how young and not small, but junior heavyweight Will looks here. This was I wasn't quite in the right place to get the Bushi's famous missed shot, but we all knew it was coming, apart from maybe all of these people here and this guy in particular. But we all knew it was coming because it's a classic Bushi spot. But I'm really glad that I didn't get the mist, which I got at the beginning in the first shot with all the mist you saw there. So that ties in quite nicely to this. I did get the full-on covered face of Will, which is quite the visual actually. It's quite a dramatic look. Bushi can't believe he didn't get the pinfall. That's a 2. I like it because it looks like he's swearing at Roberts and Roberts is swearing back. It's always quite funny. Will absolutely covered in this in the black mist. Can't see, struggling for air, struggling to get up. Eventually does get up and is setting up for the Robinson special in the corner. And he's got this face covered, his body is just covered in his mist. But he's battling on despite it. I love that. You can see his eyes quite so clearly through it as well. It's really, really interesting. Coming down for the Oscar now, absolutely straight like an arrow. Bushi doesn't know what to do. The audience are just absolutely captivated. But I love the fact that Will is just straight like an arrow, but looking directly at his target, focused in 100%, not giving up anything away. And finally, the victory shot. Will holding up the belt above his head. You can see his mist-stained hands, and the audience coming alive for him, taking their photos, taking the videos, appreciating him. But ultimately, he is the centre of the attention of this shot. Finally, this is it is what it is. It's a backstage shot of Will absolutely covered in the mist. I asked him for a photo. He can't see anything, so he's sort of looking out, and he's still in shock that he's been misted, holding onto his belt, but he's just upright. He's won the match, so he's not, he's not defeated, but he's just absolutely, he's a bit in shock. So I think that photo shows it so nicely. So this next match was the combination of Mustache Mountain, who's Trent Seven, and Tyler Bate, with David Starr, which is an interesting combination, teaming up against Lij, the rest of Lij, who we'll get to in a second. I love this entrance photo. I think it just encapsulates exactly what Mustache Mountain stand for and what they do. But also puts a bit of David Starr in there as well. He's taken centre stage. He's doing the double arm moustache twist, and I think the symmetry and they're obviously their dynamic works really well together, as we'll see later on in the match. But this particular shot really just encapsulates how on the same page they were. Next shot, we've got his NATO coming down to the ring, and you can see he just holds the audience. He's holding that Intercontinental belt, which he disrespected. I think you can see there just how battered and broken that belt is. But he's really holding the audience captive. Everyone's looking up at him, entranced, intrigued by him. And again, with that magnificent background of the York Hall staging and the green lighting, and the orange lighting hitting him, I really like this shot. I think it's one of my favourite shots of the entrance shots of this show. This shot tells 1,000 stories. Naito staring Andy Quildan, who's the booker and owner of Rev Pro, straight in the eyes as he opens the ring apron for him, ropes for him even. Tells 1,000 stories. The stare that could launch 1,000 ships, as it were. But even technically wise, I love this shot. I was in the right position at the time, and it really just all came together. Here it's David Starr, clearly loving what he's doing, but the moustache, which you couldn't see in the entrance, which I think is quite crucial, now is revealed, and he's just drawn this moustache on with Sharpie. And it looks quite ridiculous, but he's looking so happy and he's so enjoying himself with it that I think it really works for him. I love this shot. I think it's clearly just quite a happy shot for him, which is quite nice. And again, just having fun, just showing off a bit of silliness and taking on Sonata. This was supposed to be a bit of a light match before the heavy main event. So David Starr just really took this all on board and went goofy with it, but goofy serious, because after all, he's one of the best wrestlers in the world. So even when he's going goofy, he still goes good. Evil having none of it, absolutely none of their of the goofiness. Trent's trying to be silly and fun, but Evil doesn't do silly and fun. So he grabs him by the moustache and twists and twists and twists until it nearly falls off. Not entirely sure what's happening here. I think they're using Roberts as some sort of shield. Peculiar, but a lot of fun. That's basically what this match was. This match was fun and silly and enjoyable. And I think that's 100% what this photo encapsulates. There's the classic Lij taunt when they get one up on their opponents. They all stand in the middle, put their hands up, and just do what they need to do. And I think in some way you need to respect that. I like that. I like this shot for that. Now this is the classic Destino, the classic Tetsuya Naito shot. The opening up the eye, the big tongue out, the hair all showing off. You can see right through Trent's arms there. You can see him in the background. You can see what he's looking at. Quite a powerful shot, that. And again, Trent using the power of the moustache, but Naito having absolutely none of it. He is not falling for Trent's nonsense this time. Tyler showing off why he's called the Big Strong Boy before he was called the Big Strong Boy, with a humongous German suplex to Sonata, right on his toes there. You can see right on his tippy toes, using all the power he's got to launch him straight over his head. Big power there. Again, Evil not having any of the goofiness, not taking any nonsense, taking him straight by the moustaches and squeezing, going with the goofiness, going with the silliness, but putting his own aggressive, quite nasty twist on it, which I quite like the idea of that. And the final shot of the match, which is Tyler Bate launching himself over the ring. This wasn't the ending sequence of the match, but it was the final shot I took of the match because I thought this, not the final shot I kept of the match, I should say. I just really liked the fact that this shot was beautiful. It was again very much like the Ospreay Sasuke shot. It shows the dynamism and the crowd in the background. It's also on a tilt, which I quite like sometimes. Sometimes I like to have it perfectly still, but it's on a tilt, but it's perfectly symmetrical. If you look at the pillar down the middle, perfectly central, is just on a bit of a Dutch tilt. And I think it really shows the action, really shows the flowing action there. And the main event of the night is Zack Sabre Jr. versus this man here, shrouded in blue, shrouded in smoke, surrounded by fans, Katsuyori Shibata, just simply known as The Wrestler. He is one of the most dynamic and aggressive wrestlers to come out of Japan in recent years, and unfortunately he's had to take time off, potentially even retire, due to those injuries he's suffered. This shot is particularly fantastic, I think. He looks like he's walking out of a dystopian, of a dystopian past. It's quite haunting. He's looking down, he's focused in, he knows that he's going out there to kick Zack Sabre Jr. as hard as he can, and Zack Sabre Jr. is going to kick him as hard as he can also. It's one of those shots where it takes you in, and as you look, you keep finding things. So I keep finding silhouettes, I keep finding where people are looking. I love the fact that he's looking down, he's not looking at the ring, and I think it's really telling, the fact that he's looking down, he's focused. And as we'll see later, Zack is not looking at the ring either. He's looking out, he's focused. This is a match of two men who are very, very focused and only are interested in the pure art of wrestling. To demonstrate that also, Katsuyori Shibata, when he gets into the ring, doesn't pose to the crowd, simply sits down, puts a towel over his head and focuses in. Very much like Minoru Suzuki did in a very similar way. Puts a towel over his head and closes his eyes and just really gets focused for the match. The fans aren't looking at him. The fans aren't really paying attention. There's a couple of guys who are looking at him, but most of the people are looking at this man. This is Zack Sabre Jr. and they're waiting for him to come out. They're waiting for their champion, the man who they know is going to retain their championship, or they hope is going to retain their championship. As we find out, unfortunately, that doesn't come to pass. As Zack steps out, the crowd comes alive for him, and they know that he's their champion, he represents them, and he knows that he represents them. He's got a big weight on his shoulders, with potentially one of the biggest challenges he's ever faced in Katsuyori Shibata. So as he steps out, and I made this black and white to show the focus in his eyes, to show the fact that he's taking this very, very seriously. The belt around his waist, glimmering, gleaming, showing that he has a responsibility to uphold, and the fans trust him to uphold that responsibility. Robert's holding the belt up and really making sure that the fans know that this is on the line. Everyone knows this is on the line. Showing it to hard cam, showing it to everyone in the room. Everyone gets to see that the belt that's on the line. Zack looking out, focusing in, getting limber, making sure that he's ready for the fight that he's about to have. First action shot of the match is this one, and I think it demonstrates exactly perfectly the battle that we're going to have here. Outwitting each other, outsmarting each other, and perfectly matched. Because the perfectly matched element is really what I want to focus on. Because I think they look like they're in exactly the same position. It's just Zack isn't holding onto the ropes. So Shibata has got one better than him. But that's only because he's able to use his instincts almost to grab on, and Zack, who was going for an offensive maneuver, potentially a drop kick, wasn't able to complete the maneuver. Another game of one-upmanship, this time much more physical rather than instinctive, grabbing the Roman knuckle lock and twisting with just one hand, and Zack begging on both knees, trying to get rid of the hand attack. Because Shibata knows that Zack relies on submissions and on intricate arm bars and that sort of thing, and without the use of his hand, he's not going to be able to make any use of those submissions. And Shibata knows that, and just to wear down the hand, not to break it, not to force submission, but to force Zack to expend energy, that's what this shot shows. And by standing high above him and by shooting quite low down and up again, very much like the Chris Hero and Ishii shot from earlier, it shows power. It shows the fact that Shibata is fully in power. He is relaxed, his shoulders are back, his chin is down, his head is up, he is looking down at Zack. This is a man in power. And Zack's body language shows that he is completely dominated. And he is scared and worried. big kick from Zack shows the power, the raw intensity that he's unleashing in his battle against Shibata to try and retain his belt. And I love the intensity, the raw power, the passion in his face here. It just shows that he's willing to do whatever it takes to retain that belt, and that includes kicking him in the face. You can see the boot. I didn't want to focus so much on the boot, where the boot was landing. It was just very much where Zack's face was. But the boot is really cinched in to Shibata's jaw. Big, powerful kick, and Zack is giving it everything he's got. Yet another big, powerful kick with Zack giving it everything he's got, and he's just trying to take him down. Normally, Zack would lay the person out into a sitting up position and go for the PK, but for this one, Shibata is kneeling. Shibata's kneeling up and looking up at a slightly more powerful position than being sat down and then going supine when you're kicked. Because when you're like this, you can absorb the kick a lot more. You can use your legs to absorb the kick, and Zack knows that, which is why he's having to kick extra hard. And you can see the muscles in his leg and in his upper body and his arm, the way his whole body language is. He is really, really giving everything to that kick. But Shibata still takes it. Zack desperately trying to wear down Shibata, trying to use all his energy, using both hands here to hold his head up. Shibata conserving his energy, allowing Zack to expend energy on trying to make him do what he wants to do, and just conserving energy and sitting back and taking the time to let Zack make mistakes. And the first mistake is that Shibata was able to get a kick in. And you can see that this kick is almost harder than the kick that Zack gave Shibata. Because while it's in a different place, it's a different kick. It's not a boot to the jaw, it's a big kick to the front. But you can see that all of Zack's muscles are contorted in pain. They're rigid, they've taken the brunt of the impact. Zack's arms are crossed, Zack's legs are bent. Shibata looks relaxed, he looks powerful, and he looks like he knows exactly where he wants this to go. And in fact, with the next shot, you can tell that's exactly why. Massive chop to the back of the neck, almost an open hand slap to the neck, just takes Zack down. And you can see the energy is drained from Zack in this shot. He is almost drooping, and whereas Shibata has used all his energy and is pushing all the way through to get all the power through all his hand into his fingertips, all the way to this shot. And as we can see from the next shot, it was enough. Katsuyori Shibata wins the Revolution Pro British Heavyweight Championship, taking it from Zack after a 290 odd day streak. The room was shocked, the room was silent at this point. There were people cheering, but most of the room was shocked and in awe of what they'd witnessed. It was quite the spectacle. And in this shot, I think Shibata looks a bit sad. He looks sad for what he's had to have done to win the championship. But in the next shot, we can see he's defiant. Triumphant, defiant, powerful. He knows what he did, and he knows it was okay to do it. He's a champion, and he fucking deserves to be. And he knows he deserves to be. Here, Shibata offers out the hand of respect. The hand saying, I beat you, but you could easily have beaten me. It was very evenly matched. But Marty Scurll says no. Marty Scurll wants nothing to do with the honour and the respect, as he showed earlier in the night with Jushin Thunder Liger. He comes out, he takes his friend away, he stops him from making what he believes to be a mistake. But is it a mistake, or should Zack have shaken the hand? We'll never know. Shibata turns away, not interested in Marty Scurll's mind games, not interested in anything Marty Scurll has to say, no longer interested in Zack Sabre Jr. Turns away, places the title in the middle of the ring, sits down cross-armed, and that's how the show ends. And I think that's a very apt way to end the show. Just a pure show of dominance and power from Shibata, doing his signature cross-legged, belt in front of him, power pose. This is his ring, and we want to live in it. So that'll bring us to the end of Global Wars Night 1. And it really takes me back. The nostalgia factor was really high for this one. And sometimes that's the best way to look at photos and look at stuff that you've done. Is through a lens of nostalgia, you get an idea of just how good you were and how much you enjoyed yourself at the time. Because memories can fade, but nostalgia stays strong, and it makes you really believe that you're reliving the moment. Sometimes that's a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun looking back through this. And I hope you had a lot of fun joining me on the ride. Keep tuned for more videos, but until then, thanks for watching.